Hello students, welcome to Grade Booster. In this video, we are going to learn the lesson Nutrition in Plants. All living organisms, they need food. Food has got some important components like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. All these components are together called as nutrients. So these nutrients are necessary for our body. All living organisms, they need food. Living organisms, they depend on one another for food except plants. Plants, they do not depend on other organisms for their food because they can make their own food. Whereas the other organisms, they depend on plants for their food directly or indirectly. We can see that here a goat is directly dependent on plants for its food. Whereas if you see a man is dependent on a goat, a cow, plant. That means man is dependent on other animals and plants for his food requirements. If you see a tiger, it depends on other animals for its food. If you see a cow or a goat, they depend on plants for their food. So, humans and animals, directly or indirectly, they depend on plants for their food. Now let us try to understand the mode of nutrition in plants. Plants use simple materials like carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and minerals to make important nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, fats and vitamins. The other animals, which depend on plants, get all these nutrients from the plants. And all the animals and human beings get benefited from these nutrients. So plants are the producers of the nutrients that helps the other animals and humans to survive. Do you know how these nutrients helps us? These nutrients helps the animals to build their bodies. The animals, they grow and repair their damaged body parts with these nutrients. Not only that, these nutrients, they provide the energy for their day-to-day activity. Modes of nutrition. We see different modes of nutrition in plants and animals. If we look at the plants, they prepare their own food. So such organisms which can prepare their own food are called as autotrophs. Auto means self. Trophos means nourishment. So autotrophs means they nourish themselves. Whereas the other animals and human beings, these organisms are considered as heterotrophs. Hetero means other. That means these organisms, they depend on other organisms for their food requirements. So we have learned that plants are the producers of food on this planet. Right? So if plants are the producers, where are the food factories in the plants? The leaves. The leaves are called as food factories of the plant because the food is prepared in the leaves. Here we have some questions. What are the raw materials required for the plants to prepare the food? And another question, how do plants transport these raw materials to the food factories of the plant? Let us see the answers for these questions. First one, what are the raw materials required for the plants to prepare the food? The raw materials are sunlight, water, carbon dioxide. Plants also need some minerals from the soil to make some nutrients. So these are the raw materials required by the plants to prepare the food. And the second question is, how do these raw materials reach the leaf? See, sunlight is directly absorbed by the leaf. When sunlight strikes the surface of the leaf, the chlorophyll present inside the leaf absorbs the sunlight. Then, how do the carbon dioxide reaches the leaf? Leaves have small pores called as stomata. These pores are present underside of the leaf. So the carbon dioxide, it enters the leaf through these stomata. And the third one, water and minerals. Plant get water and minerals from the soil. Plants absorb the water with the help of their roots. So this way, the plants get the raw materials for the process of food making. Let us understand this in detail. Here we can see the chloroplast present inside the green leaves. So this chloroplast is the real food making machinery. So this chloroplast, it has got green color pigment called chlorophyll. So when sunlight strikes the leaf, the chlorophyll present in this chloroplast absorbs the light energy. And here we see the stomata. Stomata are the pores that are present on the underside of the leaf. So the carbon dioxide, it enters the leaf through these small pores called as stomata. Here we can see how the water and minerals are absorbed. The roots of the plants, they have very fine branches called root hairs. So these root hairs, they penetrate into the soil. The soil has got water as well as minerals. These are absorbed into these root hairs and they reach the main root, and from the root they are transported to the stem, and from the stem they are transported to the leaf. In this way, plants get their raw materials like sunlight, carbon dioxide, water and minerals. So now we understood how plants get their raw materials. Once again, let us recap what we have learned in this video. Plants are the producers of food on this planet. The second thing, all animals depend on plants directly or indirectly for their food requirements. Since plants prepare their own food, they are called autotrophs. The organisms depend on other organisms for their food requirements are called heterotrophs. Plants prepare their food using simple materials like carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Sunlight is absorbed by chlorophyll present in the leaf. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by the stomata of leaf, and water is absorbed by the roots of the plant. Now let us try to understand the food making process in plants, which is called as photosynthesis. So the food making process of plant has got a specific name called photosynthesis that we can write in the simple flowchart format. Let's see here. Carbon dioxide plus water, and these two materials with the help of chloroplast. So the chloroplast consists of chlorophyll. So this chlorophyll, it gets the sunlight. So carbon dioxide, water and sunlight, what they are producing? They are producing the food plus oxygen. So in this food making process, plants not only produce the food, they also produce oxygen. Oxygen is very, very important for the survival of animals on this planet. We cannot live long without breathing oxygen. So this oxygen is produced by the plants. So this whole process is called as photosynthesis. Why it has got the name photosynthesis, do you know? Photo means light. Synthesis means to combine or to prepare. So the plants are preparing the food with the help of light. That's why it is called as photosynthesis. Now, where does this photosynthesis takes place? We know that for photosynthesis, the green color pigment, that is the chlorophyll, is very important. That means the plant parts that are green in color, in those parts this photosynthesis takes place. Most of the plants, they have green leaves, so the photosynthesis takes place in all these green leaves. In some plants, there are no leaves. Plants like cactus, their leaves are reduced to spines because they live in very hot climatic condition. So that is the reason they do not have leaves. Their leaves are turned to spines. Then how do they make their food? They use their stems, which are green. That means they contain chlorophyll. So these stems, they carry out the photosynthesis. So cactus stem and some fruits which are green in color also can carry out photosynthesis because they have chlorophyll. And tender stems of plants. Some plants, when they are small, their stems are green in color. That means they have the chlorophyll and can carry out photosynthesis. So, here we can understand the fact that not only green leaves, the other green parts of the plant also can carry out photosynthesis. Photosynthesis also takes place in two other cases. Let us see what are they. In croton leaves also photosynthesis takes place. You know the croton plants. Their leaves are in different colors and patches. These leaves also contain some pigments and carry out photosynthesis. And the other one, algae. Algae are a kind of organisms which are usually lives in moist places, in water. You see, in pond water you can see the green color filament like structures called as Spirogyra. It is an algae. It is green in color because it has chlorophyll and carries out photosynthesis. So we have seen where this process of photosynthesis takes place. Now let us see what are produced in the photosynthesis. In the process of photosynthesis, plants mainly produce carbohydrates, that is in the form of starch. But the animals which are eating plants, they are not only getting carbohydrates. We get proteins, fats, vitamins from the plants and vegetables, right? So how is this possible? A plant, first it makes the carbohydrates. Later, these carbohydrates are converted to fats and proteins in the body of the plant. That means a plant, first it prepares the food in the form of carbohydrate, and later these carbohydrates are converted to fats and proteins and vitamins and other materials. But here there is a small problem. Plants produce carbohydrates, but to convert the carbohydrates into proteins, plants need a mineral called nitrogen. Without nitrogen, plants cannot convert the carbohydrates into proteins. So plants need nitrogen to make proteins. But from where do the plants get these nitrogen? Do you know where the nitrogen is available? We know the composition of air. Air has a lot of nitrogen, right? So there is a lot of nitrogen in the air which is called as atmospheric nitrogen. Nitrogen is also present in the soil, that is soil nitrogen. But the amount of nitrogen present in the soil is very less. The amount of nitrogen present in the air is very big. Even though the soil contains nitrogen, as we are growing so many crops again and again, this nitrogen is continuously used up by the plants. So the amount of nitrogen in the soil is reducing gradually. So if nitrogen is not available in the soil, how can a plant make the carbohydrates into proteins? Then you may think like, why can't a plant take nitrogen from the air? Plants cannot take nitrogen from the air. Plants can take only carbon dioxide, but they cannot directly take the nitrogen, they cannot use it. So what is the solution to this problem? There are two solutions to this problem. One, we need to artificially add nitrogen to the soil. How can we add nitrogen to the soil? That is, the atmospheric nitrogen is collected by the factories, and these factories make the artificial fertilizers, that is nitrogenous compounds. So these fertilizers are sprinkled in the fields. That means they add the nitrogen to the soil, so the soil nitrogen content is increased and plants make use of this nitrogen. This is one way. But this is artificial. So here the solution is adding artificial fertilizers to soil to increase the soil nitrogen. Naturally also, that means in the nature also, there is a process in which atmospheric nitrogen is converted to soil nitrogen, that is with the help of bacteria. There are some bacteria in the soil which absorb the atmospheric nitrogen and converts it into soil nitrogen. So, in these two ways, nitrogen is added to the soil. So, we have learned that plants are autotrophs and that can prepare their own food. But in fact, some plants are not autotrophic. They cannot prepare their own food. In this video, we will see the other modes of nutrition in plants. So, in plants also we can see heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Let us see an example. There is a plant called as Cuscuta. It is also called as dodder or amarbel. All these are the names of the same plant. This plant, it cannot prepare its own food and it depends on other plant. So this kind of nutrition is called as parasitic mode of nutrition. So this Cuscuta plant is called a parasitic plant. This parasitic plant, it twines around a healthy plant and it produces some root-like structures which will penetrate into the other plant called as host and absorb the nutrients. So it need not make its own food, simply it absorbs the nutrients from other healthy plant. So this is the parasitic mode of nutrition. Here we can see a Cuscuta is coiling around a host plant and absorbing the nutrients. This Cuscuta is yellow or orange color. It is not green in color because it is not having any chlorophyll and it cannot make its own food. Here we can see the close picture of Haustoria, the root-like structures produced by the Cuscuta, and these root-like structures, they penetrate into the body of the host and absorbs the nutrients directly. There are another type of plants called as insectivorous plants. That means the plants that eat insects. Yes, some plants can eat insects. Here is an example. This plant is called as pitcher plant. Here we can see a jar-like shape. This jar is called as a pitcher. So this plant has got the pitchers. You are calling it as pitcher plant. See, this jar shape has got a lid here. Now, this plant, it attracts the insects. Whenever the insects enter into the jar, it will fall into the digestive juices which are present inside the pitcher. The lid will be closed to prevent the escape of insect. So the insect cannot escape. The insect get digested in the digestive juices and the nutrients are used by the plant. So this is another example of heterotrophic nutrition in plants. Now let us see the another mode of nutrition called saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition is observed in fungus. Saprophytic nutrition means the organisms, they feed on dead and decaying matter. Say for example, if you have a big wooden log and you have thrown the wooden log into the ground. So when the wooden log is in the soil, whenever it rains, it becomes wet and it starts decaying. So in this kind of decaying matter, you see something growing, that is mushrooms. So mushrooms are the fungus which are in the saprophytic mode of nutrition. So if you throw the items like wood into a rain, you can see some mushrooms growing. Because the mushrooms, they grow on dead and decaying matter. In the same way, if you take a bread and make it wet and throw it in some of the place, some humid place in your kitchen, after some days, after 2 to 3 days, you see the bread catches some fungus. So this fungus, it get the nutrients from the decaying bread. We see fungus growing on many things. Like for example pickles, if you have not stored the pickles properly or if you have not closed the lid of a pickle jar properly, the pickles will get the fungus. And fruits. If the fruits are not stored in the refrigerator if they are left outside uncovered, they get spoiled, and you see very soon the fungus grows on the fruits. Even the leather items also can catch the fungus. And sometimes the clothes also get the fungus. And also the different food items like bread and all, when they are not stored properly, the fungus grows on them. So fungus is a saprophyte. Examples: mushrooms and molds. Do you know how this fungus spread from one spoiled food item to another food item? Here is a bread which is already decaying and has got some fungus. This fungus, it looks like some fibers or filaments. So these filaments, they have round heads. These round heads, they contain tiny ball-like structures called as spores. These spores are very small and very light. So by the wind, they can be easily carried from one place to another. So if these spores, they reach another bread which is decaying, there the spores, they germinate into a new fungus. In this way, the fungus, it spreads from one place to another place. So here we learned that fungus reproduces by tiny units called as spores. Let us recap what we have learnt in this video. All plants are not autotrophs. Certain plants follow heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Cuscuta is a parasitic plant that absorbs the nutrients from other plants by its special roots called as haustoria. Some plants are insectivorous, that means they feed on insects. Some organisms, like fungi, follow saprophytic nutrition. Mushrooms and bread molds follow saprophytic mode of nutrition. Fungus reproduces by producing fungal spores. This is about the heterotrophic nutrition in plants. Now let us see another mode of nutrition, that is symbiosis. Some organisms, they live together and share both shelter and nutrients. This relationship is called as symbiosis. That means two different organisms, they are living together and sharing the benefits. Let us see where it happens. Here is a tree and a fungus, and both are living in symbiosis. That means they are helping each other. How do they help each other? The fungus, it grows on the roots of the tree. This fungus provides water to the roots. In turn, the tree roots provide nutrients to the fungus. So, both are benefited and both live happily. So, this kind of nutrition is called symbiosis. Now, let us see here. Here is a plant and bacteria relation. Bacteria provide some nutrients like nitrogen to the plant, and plant provide some shelter to the bacteria. So in this way, plant and bacteria are living together. Lichens also carry out this symbiotic mode of nutrition. Do you know what is a lichen? Lichen means it is a combination of an algae and fungus. Algae is a different organism, fungus is a different organism. But both this algae and fungus, they live together and they form lichens. Why they are living together? Because they get benefited from each other. Algae, it has chlorophyll, so it can prepare the food. Fungus, it provides the shelter, water and minerals to this algae. So fungus is providing shelter, water and minerals. Algae is preparing the food. So these two are living together, which is called as lichens. Lichens we see on the barks of the trees. Here you can see the pictures of different kinds of lichens. Now let us try to understand the relation, symbiotic relation between bacteria and plants. Do you know legumes? So legumes we eat in our food like Bengal gram, green gram, black gram, beans, peas, all these are legumes. legumes are rich in proteins. We all know that. So they are rich in proteins means the legume plant needs more nitrogen to produce these protein rich seeds. So leguminous plants, they need more nitrogen from the soil. So to achieve this, they have some special mechanism. Let's see. If you observe the roots of the legume plants, they have small bulbs like structures called as root nodules. So these are the root nodules. So if you see what is there in these root nodules, they have a bacteria called rhizobium. So the legume plants, they give shelter to the bacteria called rhizobium. Why do they give shelter to the bacteria in their roots? This bacteria, it fixes the atmospheric nitrogen into soil nitrogen. That means this rhizobium bacteria, it converts the atmospheric nitrogen into soil nitrogen. That means the nitrogen which the plant can use. So the plant uses nitrogen. As this is a legume plant, it needs more nitrogen. That is the reason it gives shelter to the bacteria. So this bacteria and legume plants, they live together. This mode of nutrition is called as symbiotic mode of nutrition. So in this case, we can observe the thing like the plant is providing shelter and food to the bacteria. Bacteria are providing nitrogen to the plant. So these rhizobium bacteria, they are very helpful to the farmers also. How? Because of this bacteria, farmers need not use more artificial fertilizers because this bacteria is providing more nitrogen to the plant. So it reduces the burden on the farmers. So let us summarize what we have learned in this lesson. Most plants are autotrophic. Most of the plants are autotrophic. That means they can prepare their own food. Some plants are parasitic or saprophytic. Cuscuta is an example of a parasitic plant. Fungus is an example of saprophytic mode of nutrition. And we see another mode of nutrition called as symbiosis, where two organisms live together to get benefits from each other. Symbiosis helps the leguminous plants to get more nitrogen from the soil. So these are the different things that we have learned in this chapter. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. Please share this video with your friends. Please subscribe to Grade Booster channel. Press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. Check the description to find links of other useful videos. Check the end screens for our new videos.